Hey guys, how you doing? It's Brad with ATRE Podcast, all things real estate. I have the most incredible, the most beautiful, the most wonderful guest today, Lisa Martsolf. Welcome,
Thank
Lisa.
you, Brad.
Now, you're
Doing
welcome.
great.
Now, Lisa was introduced into fitness purely by accident. She was a student in a fitness class who suddenly became the teacher when the scheduled teacher didn't show up, and boom, thus became the love affair of fitness, which then turned into overall health.
That's right.
So, yeah,
Right.
I mean, Lisa was a professional dancer. Waiting tables is the usual job for a performer. And, that gets good for getting in between gigs. But for Lisa, it was teaching group fitness classes all over LA. Early in Lisa's dance career, fitness was was a way to maintain a physique and stamina. And it also required, a lot of energy to minimize recovery and process that, professional dancers need and they endure. Now a retired dancer, Lisa has carried her dancer discipline and mentality into her coaching approach. She coaches women all over the world to rewrite their own story, to live the best life they can. Simple daily activities can result in big results. You just have to be consistent, have a group of accountability surrounding and supporting you. Now, Lisa believes that motivation is always there because it's an external force. Empowerment is internal. And when you find out what works for you, repeat it. So at 50, Lisa had to rewrite her own story as Mother Nature had a strong influence in the way her body was changing. So determined not to let age and stereotype dictate her quality of life, she got to work. Now, through accountability groups, nutrition, and daily workouts, Lisa was able to change the inevitable path her health status was going. Lisa now coaches women with the same tools she has learned over the years, firmly believing that it's all begins with her mindset. Lisa says, when we know better, we do better. Maya Angelou is her favorite mantra. Welcome, Lisa. That's an incredible story you have.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, it's been a journey. Who
It
knew?
is.
And
And
I'm only 27.
see, unbelievable. And guys, for my listeners over here, that's
All
Lisa's incredible dog, Jagger.
well, this
And
is Harley, and
oh,
of
Harley.
course, Murphy's Law. We get on the computer, and she has something to say.
You can put her on your lap if you want, and
She'll
maybe
be fine as soon as they
she
disappear.
But guys, so most of you don't know this, but Lisa is actually a really, really close friend. Her and her husband Eric are close friends of my family. We love her very much, and I couldn't wait to have her on because Lisa inspires me every day. I work out. She's inspired my wife. My wife didn't really work out much, and 12 years ago she started and has never stopped. My wife Lisa was a gigantic influence. So thank you.
Of course, no. When you spread the love, right?
You do. And Lisa, what was the aha moment for you where you decided that being a coach and empowering women was your chosen path?
I think that you live and learn. And so, I mean, most of us, we're all cut from the same cloth. And so a lot of the story that we tell ourselves either holds us back or it propels us forward. But that's a very select few that actually propel forward and are proactive about it. And so, I've been in the classroom up until last year with quarantine and COVID, and all the women's stories are the same. At some point of getting married and having children, you lose your own sense of self, and you don't go back and search for it again until after the kiddos are a little bit older, and then you're like, oh, what happened to me? Where'd that come from back there? And so this story is pretty much the same, and a lot of it stems from self-esteem, and
Yeah.
it's a cycle. So once you get to that place and you don't know how you got there, then you begin to tell your story. Oh, well, I'll just keep doing it. I'll keep pouring into the kids, and you keep losing yourself further and further until you implement tools that give you the discipline that eventually bring the motivation to make the changes, because we have it when we're younger.
Yeah.
Somehow along the way it just dissipates, and sometimes we just need that extra little step to get us started and going. But really think it stems from, just it's the story we tell ourselves.
Right. No, it's a great point. But where was it? So what were you doing? Because I've known you a long time, and what I love is you play hard and you work out hard. You don't, say, well, I can't do this. You say, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to be healthy, and you make the right choices. And as you just mentioned, there's a lot of women and a lot of men as well out there that really kind of need some guidance. What made you decide, was there just a moment where you said, not only am I going to do this for myself, but I think I have a lot to offer and a lot to give. I mean, because you always have had a lot. You've been so inspiring to me. And was there a moment, or it just kind of transpired?
I think it's a natural progression when it's part of your life in a
Yeah.
sense. But I also hid behind that too.
Right.
So as an instructor, you're going and you're leading other people and you're coaching and you're teaching and you're inspiring and you're motivating and you're giving them workouts. And so that's an easy way. You don't really, it's not your hour. You're
Right.
focusing on giving somebody else the experience. So, when I retired from the stage, being a dancer,
Yeah.
that was a natural progression. Well, now I'm going to teach fitness, but I taught it, I didn't do it.
Yeah,
So
no, and I've taken your class, so I
yeah,
get it. Yeah. So are you, that's a great point too. Do you, you're a fantastic dancer. I mean, I hope you have. So I've seen Lisa dance many times, just going to dance clubs with you,
and
and
a new
you
kid.
light, Lisa is, so I don't know how many of you guys are friends with dancers, but it's a joy to watch a dancer dance privately, because your
Fine.
your face lights up though, and it's something you just your dancer face goes on,
Yeah,
and it's great to see you like that. Do you miss it?
absolutely. I miss it every day. I still dream that
Yeah.
I'm just spinning and jumping and turning and it's they say dancers die two deaths
Yeah.
because you have the stage death where you are no longer able, and that's sort of, I think, the catalyst of where I was always trying to get back to, and I think that's where my own self-esteem sort of took the
Right.
nosedive.
Where
Is
am I now? What do I do
what do
now?
I do now? What do I do when I grow up? I never
Yeah.
thought I'd be without it. I was always the young one on the floor looking at the older dancers and going, oh, I'll never, not be flexible. I'll never not be able
Yeah.
to touch my toe. And sure enough, approaching 50, not only was I struggling with the physicality of things,
Yeah.
I was also, like you said, Mother Nature had her own plan. She had her
Yeah.
own idea. And I always thought I would defy that because of the background and because of what I knew. The
Yeah.
problem is I knew it, I just didn't implement it. And there's a big difference in knowing what you should do and
And
actually doing
doing
it.
it.
That
Yeah.
fine line is that it's easy to do, it's easy not to do.
So,
And I
oh,
hid
go on.
behind that. I
Yeah.
hid behind I'm
And a
teaching.
lot of people do, right? I mean, so why do you believe that people, in general struggle with health and fitness? What is it? So exactly what you just said, you knew what you needed to do. It was implementing it. So is that what you're doing now? Are you helping someone to implement their plan?
Yeah, I think why it's so hard is, again, the saying is, if it were easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
It's hard to be disciplined, especially when you have kids and you have a life and you have a husband, and I'm a fur mom, and you got life.
Right.
And we're so used to putting ourselves, we either take ourselves off the to-do list,
Right.
or we don't even add ourselves to the to-do list. And
Right.
before we know it, then we get resentful about the whole day that's gone by, that we don't have any time for ourselves. We've gained 20 pounds in the course of 4 years. Hi, I'm speaking to myself. And you just end up not doing those things. And so it was the morning of my 50th birthday that I said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And I think the very first thing that has to happen is you have to not want to be where you are anymore. You have to want to be something and someone different in order to even start that process. You have to
Yeah.
be so fed up, and your why has to be so much stronger than the excuses, because
Right.
I had them. We all have them. Oh, I don't feel like it today. That was me this morning. I just didn't feel like it. But that's where the discipline comes in, is that discipline will kick in when motivation is gone.
Is
And then
that
the motivation comes back, and it's a cycle. But you have to have the tools. And so, it's hard to start, but it's
Yeah.
just as easy to do it as it is not to do it. So you just have to find, again, the person,
Happy medium?
the,
Yeah.
the avenue, the outlet, the
So
group.
that's what I want to ask you. So is that, first of all, is that what you see the difference between doing something and succeeding at something? And the other thing is, When you say you have to find the person in the outlet, are you looking at each person as you're a chef and you are finding the recipe for their success? Do you listen to them and what their worries are and their stories and know that everyone is different? Or are you a believer that everyone's the same and this is what you do?
Well, no, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's
Yeah.
body is different. Everybody responds differently. It's like, it's exactly the same thing right now, what's going on, in the world. It's like everybody is responding to certain things in a certain way, and the
Yeah.
reactions are very different. Well, it's the same thing in your internal house as the
Yes.
everybody everybody doesn't respond to hit training. Everybody doesn't respond to a keto diet. People that you have to make it attainable and sustainable at the same time. So if it's not going to be sustainable for you over the long haul, it's never going to be attainable for you to reach that goal.
So,
It's just
so
never
do
going
you,
to happen.
so do you have an intake with each person?
I do. So
That's wonderful.
to even start the conversation, you have to fill out a form with me, and it has basically what you're willing to
Yeah.
do and what you're willing not to do. So I've got my heavy hitters that are
Yeah.
my go-getters that are, they want to lose X amount of weight by a certain time, or they have a feeling they want to gain confidence, or it's
Right.
the mama who wants to build a side
Oh, I
hustle.
love that. Okay, good. So one thing I can say, and I've talked to you about it before. So I work out. I work out every day. I stay in shape. You guys were a big part of that as well. But I mean, I've always worked out. But just having friends that have like things, we do that. And I took Lisa's spin class 5 years ago. I don't even think was Eric in that class. I think it was just
No,
me and you.
just you and I
And I mean, she had 30
and
people in the
20 of her
class, and
friends.
yeah, good. Yeah, 20 other girls and me. That's why I
Right.
took the class. However, Lisa to me was so inspirational because she talks to each person like she's talking to them. And I literally started crying in her class
You
because
did.
I was pushing so hard. And then all this stuff was just coming out of me. And I'm looking at her and she's like a therapist. So it was crazy. She's just telling you how great you are and what you can do. And she's smiling at you. And, it was amazing for me. And it was life-changing for me in the sense that you spoke to my heart. And I told you that, and we've been friends a long time. So, but for me, I still, it brings tears to my eyes because you made such an impact, and
Oh,
I love it with you. That's why you're
well, a lot of it too, it's yes, the instructor plays such a small part. We are to lead you on a certain journey, but the reality is it was the energy of the room, it was the people surrounding you that were requiring you to
right.
level up. They were requiring something more of you, and when you tap into that energy, that's also what makes it, I think, so different when you connect people with the tools. Because
Yeah,
let's face it, you could do 30 days of one particular modality of exercise, and you
right.
can eat follow a diet plan or a nutrition plan for, I don't like the word diet, but a nutrition plan for 30 days. Will you get results? Absolutely.
Yeah,
But what is
but you keep it
sustainable
off.
for your life? Yeah. And what's sustainable? What will you be able to do every day? What will you be able to tap into? And that energy that you are being accountable to somebody
Yeah,
else, that that you're going to be looking to either have that 30-minute sweat sesh
mhm.
together, or you're even just going to escape your life for 30 minutes. And it's
Isn't that
your,
great?
it's
So,
amazing.
and one thing I love about you guys, and I've always, I learned from you, and I do it because I have I have a lot of willpower, as you know. If I decide to do something one day, I just quit, Diet Pepsi, and I
Yeah,
just the way it is. And I was drinking 6 a
not
day for
everybody's
20
like
years. Right. I haven't had one in 6 years. Um, but one of the things I love is you talk about, doing, you can do whatever you want to do in moderation. So for instance, I like to eat right. I like to eat healthy. And I know I have a sweet tooth, but what I'll do is with Justine and I go out to eat, we'll get a creme brulee, but instead of each one of us getting a creme brulee, we share a creme brulee. I'll have a few bites of it. And I know that I'm not starving myself from what I wanted.
Yep.
And I'm getting a little bit of it. And that's a treat for me. And I know that you've always been the same in that way. And then if you want to have a drink, you have a drink. You want to have a bottle, you have a bottle. You work out and you treat yourself, right?
Well,
And
what happens when you deprive yourself? You
you
go down that rabbit
yeah,
hole,
you go the other way
right?
because
You
you haven't
totally
had it.
then binge on it, and then the guilt comes
Mhm,
up because you did it. Then the where the dialogue of
mhm.
the negative Nelly starts with, oh, well, why should I even bother? I just fell off, or why should I even continue? See, I
Right.
can't do it, and you start that cycle. And so that's evidence for your story of I
Right.
can't do it. So then you feed the story of, oh, see, I can't do this. And all of that is just, you're supporting the story. So if you change the parameters of the story, then you're allowed to be able, because you know what, tomorrow morning you've got a community that you're going to get up and sweat with for 30 minutes.
That's exactly
You know
right.
you're going to eat right the rest of the day. You know it's going to be in moderation, because you're never going to have the barren moment of deprivation.
Yeah. And I
So
love watching you with your community on Instagram and your other avenues, because I know there's times you probably don't want to get up and do it, but you
uh,
do. And I,
Saturday
and I,
morning,
and I,
maybe.
and I watch you do it. And I know, I love it. Sometimes you say, Lisa will say, I got up and I didn't want to work out today, but I'm so glad I did, because I had the best workout.
Yeah.
And I love watching you. And then, Lisa's husband, Eric, that she met him on a show called Joseph and the Technicolor Coat. And then, now they've got two beautiful kids together who are 6'2" and 13.
Yeah.
But I love watching Lisa work out. And then all of a sudden during her workout, all of a sudden Eric will come in, and then, Mason will come in, and then Chase will come in. And like, she does this whole family workout. And it's so amazing that you wish, everyone wishes their family would do that with them. Even when Eric's in his, tiny little tights, I laugh my butt off. But her husband is on Days of Our Lives. Make sure you watch Days of Our Lives. He plays Brody Black. But so I'm wondering, Lisa, being such a beautiful woman as you are, and being a dancer for all those years, and then becoming a mom, gaining some weight, feeling worse about yourself, but being a dancer who was always in such great shape, did that attack your self-esteem more, because you were so used to almost being perfect because you're on stage, and you're probably, in the old days, they probably weighed you before you got on stage and did all those things. You probably couldn't help but be, harder on yourself even than anyone else is. Even when we think you look good, maybe you didn't feel like that.
Oh, yeah.
What advice, A, please answer that. And B, what advice could you give to another woman or man in maybe helping them build their self-esteem? Do you have any little things, any tips?
Well, again, it's rewriting the story, and that's not something that just happens because you choose it. It's something that's a daily practice through, action affirmations. It's that, it's so hard because society for so long tells us that we're supposed to be a certain way and look a
Yeah.
certain way, and it holds us to such standards. And right now, with everybody having a voice on social media, everyone's doing the comparison game. But at the end
Yes.
of the day, unless you're walking physically into somebody's life, it's not a fair gauge. And so you have to remember
Great
that
point.
you are seeing the best of that situation. I will say this, and I want to just address what you
Sure.
just talked about. I have so many women that come in to my group, and again, their concern is not themselves. Their first concern is, I want my husband and my kids. I want my husband to get healthy. He works 75 hours a week, and his high blood pressure, he has high cholesterol, he's stressed out. And they're like, how do I get him to do it?
That's the question I was going to ask you. The next question, please answer that.
Yeah,
How can you get your family to work
no,
out together?
you don't. You lead by example. So it's the Charlie Brown mob.
Yeah.
Clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. You're all of a sudden, your voice is on deaf ears. But I can't even tell you, and I wish I had my entourage of ladies that could tell you, after 3, 6, even sometimes a year,
Right.
the husbands start walking by, and they
Right.
walk by in their shorts, then they walk by in their shorts with the
Yeah.
water bottle, then they want to try it, and before you know it, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. And it's not because they didn't think that it was going to, meet their standards. It's
Right.
because no one wants to be left behind. They see his
Yes.
wife getting healthy, they see that she's putting forth the effort, so therefore she raised the bar and the vibration for her family.
That happened to me.
Wants
But you
to
know
be
that. You got my wife into working out so hard with the bar stuff, that I was looking at her and I'm going, oh my God, I look at her and I look at me. I'm like, oh boy, something's happening here. I better start working out,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
and then
gonna.
then it becomes collective. So my boys I've never said, get in there and work out.
Right.
It's been, let me try this, and giving them the space to figure
Yeah.
out what that looks like. Same thing with Eric. He's a gym rat. He at first was not going to have the at-home
He
workouts
loves it now.
until they
Yeah.
kicked his butt. And then he was like, whoa, I didn't realize. And it's 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And to go to what you were referring to about building their self-esteem, is my main thing that I ask my girls when they come in: how would you talk to your kids? Would you talk to your kids like that?
Yeah.
The self-esteem and the mantras
That's a
and the
great
things
point.
that you tell yourself, would you tell your child, oh, don't even bother trying, you're not going to do it anyways? So
Yeah.
what? You know what, I told you you'd fail.
Yeah.
You know what, it's hard, and so I don't know why you'd even think about that. Like,
Yeah.
you would never use that esteem talk when talking to your kids.
Yeah.
So why do we think it's okay
To
as our
talk to
number one
ourselves.
priority to speak to ourselves that way? Because even though we're saying one thing, our
Yeah.
actions are not lining up. And if your actions don't line up, how do you expect your
Right.
children or anybody to follow suit when your actions are louder than your words?
It's great advice, Lisa. Can I give you one that I do?
Tell me, I would love that.
So I always had especially in high school, I just, I loved myself, but I didn't tell myself enough. And I always felt like I had a ton of friends, but I was always felt like maybe I was on the outside looking in, and I never really wanted to let anyone get too close. And I thought to myself, I bet you there's other people going through this, but besides that, Brad, I started to, I said to myself, no, I'm just kidding. I looked in the mirror though, and I started to tell myself I loved myself. So I would stand in front of a mirror and I'd look at myself and I'd say, I love you. But then I took it a step further. I would stand there and stare back at myself, and I would say it 10 or 15 times. And I did it every day for about a year straight. And I started to see the vulnerability inside me, and I started to like myself more, and I started to feel for myself more. So when I was saying negative things inside my head, well, I had always started to see who I really was as a person. And I didn't want, like you said, to talk to myself like that anymore. I wanted to tell myself I loved myself, and I wanted to hug my 5-year-old self, and I wanted to be there for myself. Like you and I love Louise Hay, right?
Yeah.
So to do those things that you do and that I've been doing, I think are so important. One of the things I'd like to ask you, Lisa, is, so what do you say to that woman who's feeling lost, hopeless, unattractive, and just unsure? What could you say to them right now to help them feel better about who they are?
The one thing that I always say is when any woman comes to my group, they all come in with that, all of them. Everybody starts the same way. It's usually the bottom of the barrel where they come, because nobody comes in at the top.
Yeah.
Everyone comes in defeated. They've tried everything. They just want to feel better. They just want to have confidence. They just want to love the skin they're in. They just want to be attractive. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
They just, and like you said about talking to yourself, there's nothing positive that comes out of negativity. Nothing.
Good
You
for
can
you.
search and search and search. So the first thing you have to do is start flipping that script. And I require all of my ladies and the gentlemen that join us to do personal development. That's the very first thing, because when this muscle isn't right, nothing else follows.
Right.
So you have to fix the mindset. And a lot of times you can't wait for the mindset to
Right.
be right before you take action. You have to work on the mindset while you are doing those things that are really uncomfortable for you, because remember, growth happens
Yes.
outside of our comfort zone. And so whenever you start to use that narrative, that negative talk, I ask the girls, you know what? I want you to write it on the bathroom mirror in red Chanel lipstick. I want you to put it in
Good
your
for you.
car. I want you to listen and set a timer on your phone every hour. You have to learn, just as long as, just as the way that you probably listen to external voices
Yeah.
telling you you were no good, or,
Yeah.
the bullies at school, somehow we give them the most expensive seat in the house in our
Right.
life.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, but yet, you were giving all these people in the back of the house the most expensive opinion, and we
Yeah.
let their mantra dictate who we are.
Yeah.
And the good stuff we just suppress and we knock it out of the way.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, I don't believe that about myself. But why?
Yeah. Why
You know,
not?
who said that? Who said that has to be your truth?
Yeah.
Why do you have to live the rest of your life like that?
Why do you have to
And
live
so
someone else's lie?
yeah,
Have to live your
and
truth.
that really never has anything to do with you. It has to do
Yeah.
with their baggage and
That's
their
right. Good for
and
you.
their stuff. And that misery loves company.
Yeah.
And most people want you to be at their level so that
That's
they're
right. Yeah.
comfortable there,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and
They don't want to see you succeed.
no, and they just don't, because it's everybody is doing it, and you might have come from the same place. And what pisses them off the most is the fact that you are getting out of that place. So what do they want to do? They want to pull you back in to
Yeah.
keep you where you were, because it's more comfortable for them.
And
And a lot of the women will say, my husband's not on board. My
Right.
kids don't support me. My friends think this is a joke. And it's like, well, you know what? You need a new circle.
I was just going to say that. Get new friends,
You need a new circle.
and you need to retrain your husband or get rid of him.
Well, they say you do you,
Yeah.
and then you know what?
The rest
I've
will
had women
follow.
that have changed their life completely about what they're willing to tolerate and what they're not willing to tolerate, because they have the empowerment, which is what you've said. The affirmation starts with, what do you believe? And when you have that firm belief, you're not going to allow someone to talk to you like that. You're
Yeah.
not going to allow someone in your circle that says, oh, that's stupid, why bother?
And I
It-
find too that it's so easy to be that negative person, and you're sitting there and you're looking at someone that's succeeding, and you're like, oh well. And then you have to say to yourself, you know what? Good for them. I'm happy for them. And when you're happy for someone, you're going to attract positive things into the universe, and good things will start to happen for you. I make
Law
a
of
point
attraction.
of have an attitude of gratitude, have a lovely life. And we all should be so lucky to have good things happen to us.
It's interesting that you say that, is we're doing a program right now in our group that it has nothing to do with your traditional sit-ups, your traditional burpees, the crazy jumps. It is based on feeling good, period.
Good for you.
It doesn't matter what you
No matter
look
if you're
like,
doing it right, wrong. Yeah.
privacy of your own home,
Yeah.
but it's all based on feeling good. And inside my group, we talked about this, is that really a placebo effect of you're doing something that feels so good, so you're having these days of happiness and finding the joy, or is that really as a byproduct of letting some of that guard down of, oh, I've got to make that burpee and I can't do it, and oh my gosh, and the sit up. It's like, no, just move your body, feel good, and make good decisions through the day. That's really the basics. It's a mindset.
And drink a lot of water.
And drink a lot of water. But the thing was, the reason why we focused on this one was because coming out of what we think is going to go somewhat back to normal,
Right.
people were craving lightheartedness. People were craving just to,
so much.
yeah. And this is a pure feel good. Let's have a party in our garage or your house or whatever. And, let's forget about all the, the techno
BS that's going
stuff,
around. Yeah.
plyometrics and burpees. Let's just feel good. Now, granted, I love those things like the next person, but sometimes it's just really good to go and release endorphins.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love the fact that you're saying, hey guys, you girls, ladies, you don't have any expectation here. I want you to smile. I want you to feel good, because when you smile and you feel good, you're going to want to continue to do it.
Absolutely. That'll bring you back the next day.
Yes, it will. It's like your husband and I can go golfing, and I'll get one good golf shot in. That's what keeps me back the next day.
Just the one.
One shot. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, you're like, yay.
Lisa, let me ask you: if you were Marty from Back to the Future, and what would the older Lisa right now fly back and tell younger Lisa to either do more of or to watch out for?
First of all, I would just tell her to chill the F out. Everything when we're younger, it's so intense,
Yes.
And I just would, and I think it is, again, being in the entertainment world and being a dancer and being on stage. I mean, there was a lot of freedom and a lot of glamour and a lot of traveling, and I would not have changed it for the world.
Right.
But on the same time, on that, while it's built up here, I don't know if I would have been able to prepare myself differently for what comes next. But I think that always keeping your options open. And so again, a lot of people, and without going down that rabbit hole, a lot of people will not do something because of an umbrella that it's under, or a company, or it's like a bad car salesman. Just because it's a bad car salesman doesn't mean that the next one's a bad one. And it doesn't mean that the car is bad. So you still have to be open enough to trust, and every opportunity that is presented to you is an opportunity for you to learn and grow. And so if this particular scenario didn't work out, it doesn't mean it's not for you. It just means maybe that wasn't either the right time, B, the right person, C, maybe the right tools in your life. I'm revisiting things that I thought about 10 years ago as a trajectory of where I want to be 10 years from now.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'll never do that. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
So I think that all of those things in life prepare us, but I do find that a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to do that because of that person, or because of the umbrella, or because of this one small thing. if you open and expand and be willing to learn and be willing to adopt again, when you know better, you do better. So what? That was a bad experience. That doesn't mean it was a bad car because that was a crappy salesman, or that you
Such
try.
a really great point. I love that. Lisa, why don't you tell our listeners about your Instagram and that you are, you're listening to her and you're probably like, wow. And if you're looking at her on YouTube, you're definitely going, wow, because she's a knockout. But how do people find you? Well, first of all, if they would like you to be their coach, would they, how would they contact you? And can they take your class online? It's all online, right? Everything. It's
Well,
not Instagram.
I do have two separate opportunities. So the first thing is on Instagram, it's official Lisa Martsolf. So it's my name with the word official in
Well,
front
it's
of
official first and then Lisa Martsolf.
Martsolf.
Official
That's
Lisa
on
Martsolf.
Instagram, and that's also my Facebook page as well.
Okay, great.
You can just DM me. It's not hard to get a hold of me.
Excellent.
Just go to the DMs. I prefer the DMs because then you and I can have a conversation, because I also, let's just suffice it to say, I don't allow everybody in the group.
Right.
I don't allow people that are mad about the results they're not getting from the work they're not doing.
Yeah.
And my job is to not babysit you. My job is to give you tools and to coach you through those moments when you don't feel like you can do it. And that's my job. My job is not to
do the work for you. Right.
That you should do this. You should already come to the table with that much passion. And like I said in the beginning, your why should be so strong that nobody can talk you off the ledge.
So they need to be sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, their why needs to be stronger than the excuse.
That's wonderful.
That's why I have my forum. That's why I always talk to everybody that comes into the group, because, I did have people that were, just really, they just wanted to hang out. And hanging out is great. I do hang out with my girls and the guys in my group, but you have to adopt the tools that are in front of you. It's like trying to show up and build a house without the hammer and nails.
Lisa, what if someone's saying, well, I'm going to call Lisa or I'm going to email Lisa, but I'm going to wait until the next class or the next session. Do you feel like, why wait? Get in here.
Well, no, again, it's not my job to convince you. My thing is, listen, I'm going to present the facts to you and you have to decide, because here's what I've learned, I guess, in my, years of fitness and being in the studio, is that you can't make somebody ready. Yeah. So while the intentions are always good, you will only succeed when you are fed up.
Yeah.
And so if you're like, okay, I want to wait, then wait. That's no sweat off my back. I'll be here to catch you when you're ready. I'll be your biggest cheering.
I love it. I love that you're there to catch them.
But it's not my job to say, no, do it right now, because I don't know your financial situation. I don't know your mental situation. Maybe you're in the middle of a move. I don't know.
Who knows?
I trust that if you're
in the middle of a move, make sure you call Lisa, because you should take the stress off of you. You need that workout.
The outlet, right?
Yes, you need that outlet. Lisa, it's been a pleasure having you here today. And to all my listeners, make sure you give Lisa a shot, give her a try. She's really amazing. And she's not only, a fitness coach, but she's a life coach. She's absolutely incredible. And she will help you realize where you want to be. And if you want to be there and you truly have a big why, right? You are going to be able to do it with Lisa's help. And remember, guys, go to my website, ATREpodcast.com, and sign up for my 5 free secrets on how to be successful in real estate today. You can also sign up for my free coaching session, and we will help you thrive, not survive. And remember, like my dad always said, have an attitude of gratitude. We love you, and be good to each other.
Yes. And I will say, if I can add, you can also go to my website. There's freebies. There's free recipes. There's free downloads.
What's your website?
LisaMartsolf.com.
Go to LisaMartsolf.com and get those free, anything to help you get started. And once you get started, you'll be doing it.
I had fun. I'm so glad. Thanks for having me.
And that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Many of my podcast listeners have become my coaching clients. If you'd like to be a coaching client, go to my website at www.atrepodcast.com and sign up for your free 30-minute coaching evaluation at www.atrepodcast.com. And as my dad would always say, have an attitude of gratitude.